This is YGTV and the YG Stage, brought to you by Fleet Farm, Health Payment Systems, and Circle Electric. I'm your host, Andy Weins, president of GreenUp Solutions, here on set at Serendipity Labs. Young Guns is a growing group of entrepreneurs and free thinkers that are sharing new ways to grow your business, build your brand, and make an impact. YG Stage is one of 4 shows here on YGTV where we feature business owners, CEOs, subject matter experts, and maybe even you to inspire, innovate, and break the rules of business. Today, we welcome Darren Fisher, keynote speaker, founder, and CEO of Spearity. Let's welcome Darren to the stage. How are we doing, brother?
I'm excellent. How are you? Good to see you.
All right, so what are we talking about today?
About confidence. Everyone needs it. A lot of people want it, but they don't know how to get it. So we're going to talk about the things you can do to grow your confidence.
Confidence is key, as the posters always say, right? But you're going to teach us how to bring it out, or what's the takeaway here?
So here's the thing. Everyone has an opportunity to grow confidence all the time. The thing is, most people ignore those things. And so there's some practical things you can do if you want to be a more confident person or create an environment for other people to be confident. We're going to teach you some practical things you can do to make that happen.
I love it. Practical, tactical, not only being confident in yourself, but also expose that confidence to others around you so they can feed off of it.
100%, because we can't give another person confidence.
Nope.
We can create the environment, but it's really up to that individual. So we're going to show you how do you make that actually happen.
I love it. All right. Well, I'm excited. I want to learn. Stage is all yours.
All right, thank you.
Fleet Farm has everything you need for every season of life. From tending the vegetable garden season to planting 100 acres of crops season. Fleet Farm is your one-stop shop, whether it's strawberry jam season, cook your walleye season, or his first set of wheels season. Fleet Farm is built for every season. Fleet Farm, built for real life.
For more than 80% of families, today's medical billing practices are confusing. At HPS, our goal is to improve the healthcare experience for the patient by making medical bill payments less stressful. In Wisconsin, that's all made possible by our comprehensive independent healthcare provider network. We simplify billing and lower costs for everyone involved in healthcare and offer various ways for individuals to pay without breaking the bank.
Circle Electric is a 35-year-old commercial, industrial, and healthcare electrical contractor with engineers and designers on staff, backed by the most technical and well-trained master and journeyman electricians. Whether it's an equipment move, new building, or commercial remodel, from pre-construction all the way through startup, primary power, branch power, or low-voltage systems, we're here to support you. Our 24/7 on-call service department is here to meet your electrical needs for our industrial and healthcare customers. You always hear safety first. We are safety always. Circle Electric will maintain electrical reliability for business continuity.
You know, life is sort of interesting when you look at trying to figure out how to be the best or how to maximize your time or maximize your focus or maximize your abilities. And one of the things that I've learned from being a coach and really coaching little children and being a parent is the importance of confidence. A lot of people talk about confidence. We have posters that talk about the keys to confidence and how do you get confidence. But no one knows how do we actually do it. It's interesting. Some people naturally seem confident. Little children, they just seem confident. And then adults come around, they seem confident. But what about the people who don't get that? And it was very interesting when I was coaching my son, Dalen. He was a 9-year-old playing baseball. And we were in this tournament, and he ended up going 2 for 9. And so afterwards, I was actually an assistant coach, so we were riding home afterwards, and I said, okay, Dalen, so what was your takeaway from the tournament? And he said, Dad, I can get a hit off anybody. I was like, okay, well, that's a great attitude because he only went 2 for 9, which means he got up to bat 9 times And he only got on base twice. The other 7 times he failed. But somehow in his mind, he said that if I got another opportunity to get up to hit, he would definitely hit the ball, which is awesome. So interesting, I had two children, boy and a girl. So my daughter Darian, she played softball also. And we were in this tournament, and it was interesting. She ended up going, she was 3 for 4 at the time, bases loaded, 2 outs, and she's up to bat. And she ends up getting a full count, so she's got 3 balls, 2 strikes. And you know, it's a very tense situation. All the parents are sitting there watching, we're on the edge of our seats, and this has been a pretty long tournament. And ball comes up, she ends up getting a hit through the left-hand side, ends up scoring two runs. And everybody's losing it. You know, I'm her parent, like I did something, so I'm losing it because it's my kid. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. And she's like this. You know, she gets to first base, she gets there or whatever, but she's just walking away. So like, you know, you sort of let things settle, you know, they talk to her, the coaches and everything. And so she's coming back, so we're in the car. And I said, Bear, because I call her, that's my baby Bear, so I called her Bear. I said, Bear, so what was your takeaway from the game? And she says, Dad, I made that 1 out. I said, okay, that's interesting. So my son goes 2 for 9, and his takeaway is, Dad, I can get a hit off anybody. My daughter ended up going 4 for 5, which is amazing. That's an 800 batting average, which is huge. But in her mind, if she got up to bat again, she believes she's gonna make an out. So it's interesting sort of that next week, I was talking to my son, you know, afterwards, we, you know, done or whatever. I was like, hey, Dalen, do you want to go practice your baseball? He's like, no, Dad, I'm good. And I said, well, why don't you want to practice? He said, no, I can get a hit off anybody. I don't need to practice. Because in his mind, he ignored the failures and only focused on the successes. Now, my daughter that next week, it was sort of interesting. She says, Dad, can we go get some work off the tee? And I said, well, okay, well, sure, of course. Well, what do you think? And she says, well, Dad, I just, you know, after that tournament, I really want to, you know, make some adjustments. I'm like, don't do anything differently. You're good. You just, whatever you've been doing is fine. And she's always had a good batting average and just was always good. But the thing was, why is there a difference between these 2 children? Why is it that my son, if he goes up to the bat, he believes he's going to get a hit. My daughter thinks she's actually going to make it out when the reality is the data says something totally different. And the difference is confidence. My son somehow, from getting up to bat those 2 times when he had a success, he's able to get more confidence to say the next time, I'm going to actually crush this. But my daughter, who has that exact same success, she actually blows it off. She ignores it. And that's the difference. Each one of us we all have successes. We take those successes for granted, but we have all those successes. Like for me, married, children. Some husbands will say, well, I get up, I'm married, I'm next to my wife every day, I build a family, I'm supposed to do that. Whereas other people are like, no, there are people that wake up the next day, they hope to have a husband sitting next to them or hope to have a wife sitting next to them. So they don't take those things for granted. So therefore, they're more confident then to do that same thing in another situation. And this is an example of self-confidence, a belief that we can do. And I believe that this self-confidence, which is necessary, because the confidence allows you to, let's say you fall. Confidence says you can get back up again and try again. But there is another part to this whole story. And this part is process confidence. Whenever we look at a person who's great, and we read these books about great people, like one of my favorite stories that I look at from an entrepreneurial perspective is studying Ford. Henry Ford was a type of person where he said, I pretty much know about any industry you could ask me about it. I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, ask me a question about accounting. So person asked him a question about the accounting. He says, he picks up the phone, calls his accountant, gets the right answer. So he says, well, ask me a question about engineering. So he called a person up and do that. So his thing was, my process is this. If I'm connected to great people who know things and I'm in a relationship with them, I now have the confidence to be able to do what they do based on them being in my circle. That's a process. I studied Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods, one of the greatest golfers of our lifetime. He was talking about, well, what do you do? How do you know you're going to win? He says, I don't know if I'm going to win tournaments or not. He says, but if I'm in contention on Sunday, The odds are if I do that enough times, I'm gonna win enough tournaments. Process confidence. He says this, there's things you can do to follow great people, and if I mimic the exact same thing, I too can achieve the exact same greatness. So, when we have self-confidence is about me. And if it's totally focused on me, then I believe that no matter what, it doesn't matter what process I use, whatever, I'm just gonna be great. I think that's a falsehood, and I think that what that does is it creates a lot of opportunities for people to then fail or struggle at a different time. But when we understand this idea of process confidence, what it is this, I try to find some things that will work. And if I follow that particular process over and over again, I will achieve those exact same results. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, Darren, this is so obvious. It's so obvious. Of course, if I do the things that work, they're gonna work again. But we don't do that as human beings. We know that for me, I've gotten older, my metabolism basically is failing me. So when I eat, food doesn't process the same way. When I was younger, I pretty much could eat whatever. I remember even in my 30s, I would eat a pint of ice cream every day. So I would eat 4 to 5 pints of ice cream a week. And there was no difference. Then all of a sudden, I went to go do this photo shoot, and they use this camera, and there's this term that the camera doesn't lie, and it told the truth, that my metabolism had stopped a long time ago, and I was like, whoa. Now, I am working on an Ironman right now, and I have found out that if you burn 3,000 to 4,000 calories a day, you pretty much can eat what you want again, but this is a different conversation. But it spoke to this idea of, if I wanted to be great, and let's say I want to keep my weight in control, or if I want to be good at even preparing for this Ironman, or if I want to be good at business, I need to understand this concept of process confidence. What are the principles that if I follow them, they will allow me to put me in the best position to be great? No one can predict the future, but I know that if I follow certain principles, I then can achieve this level of greatness. And so what we found is this, if a person just believes in self-confidence, you can become arrogant. If you believe in just process confidence, where if I follow this process, but then I don't actually do it or believe I can do it, then I fail that way. But if you can make both of them work, if you can somehow align your own personal confidence with this process confidence, that's really the key. So the question is, how do we actually do it? How do we actually build this term called confidence? Well, if you study Dalen, that was my son, Dalen looked at a success. Any little thing is a success, and said, if I did it once, I can now do it again. That's the difference. Everyone you need to focus on your successes. So, it was interesting. I was a 28-year-old and had an IT consulting business, doing $500,000 a year as a 28-year-old. I had the wife, 2 children, and we were like the Will and Jada Smith, because we were we had the family, everything was perfect. I was making a lot of money, and I thought I was the cast me out, like I was really it. Ended up losing all of it. The whole thing falls apart. If you look at me now, I was actually a little more than 40 pounds less than what I am now, because I was in a state of depression. And I just thought, I messed this whole thing up. I'll never have it again. Lost all of my confidence. And my brother Brian, at the time, I remember I was telling him, Brian, it just was lucky. He said, Darren, if you did it once, you could do it again. So you've already proven that it's possible. But here's the thing, I didn't believe him. I thought it was just luck, and I thought I didn't deserve it. So what did I do? I quit trying. Ended up getting a job, started living in that world again. Tried that out for a couple of years and found out that, no, it's not it. I wasn't happy. Something wasn't right. I wasn't in the right place. And so I started out again, entrepreneurial step, went back in, started some IT consulting business again, started growing it again. But the problem was I couldn't charge people for the work. I would charge people. I remember I started out doing IT consulting work, $25 an hour. I thought if I just charged something like that, people would use me. They didn't. And my brother was like, you're not charging enough. I said, okay, let me charge $50 an hour then. Started getting some more leads. Started charging $100 an hour. Got more leads. $125. I'm on to something. So I found out that the market would bear that. People actually trusted me more when I charged more confidence. So then started doing some business consulting work. And I had a very interesting conversation with him about charging, because I just really didn't know what to charge. Like when you're getting charged for your own talent, you really don't know what's the right number. And it's really whatever people will pay. And a lot of it does come down to what the market says. But I was talking to him and said, Brian, there was I heard some people that were charging $1,000 an hour for consulting work. And I was like, well, how in the world do I charge $1,000? I mean, that's a lot. He told me what he made for one surgery. And it was upwards of $20,000 for a 30-minute surgery. And I said, well, Brian, how in the world do you charge that? He says, I'm only one of a few people in the world that can do what I do. So therefore, and he totally saves lives. Like it's an amazing thing. He said, therefore, I'm worth what I charge. He says, now, do you make a difference in the people's lives and for what you charge? And I said, well, yes, I do. And can you prove that there's a return on investment for what you do? I said, well, yes, I can. He says, well, then you should have the confidence then to charge what you charge. And so now I do. And so what can we do then to close this up to say, okay, Darren, these are some great stories, but how do I actually get this confidence? Here's what you do. Number one, document 3 successes every single day. And it can be whatever you want to be confident in. It could be your body image. It could be your personality. It could be your job. It could be speaking. Document 3 successes, positive things that you've done in a journal every day. Do that for 30 days. You will find that your attitude towards your successes, number one, they will expand. Number 2, you'll enjoy those things more often. And number 3, you will find your confidence will continue to grow in that area. It's really that simple. If you do that, you'll have more confidence. The day you stop, your confidence will begin to shrink. And eventually, if you stop doing it, you'll go right back to the place you were before. So it's very simple. I know that's not something like, oh, Darren, I thought you were going to tell us this great thing. I didn't. Because a lot of times you'll find in life, it's the simple things that bring the greatest results. So document those 3 successes, and then make sure you let me know what your results are. Thank you so much, and I appreciate talking to you.
Hey, that was absolutely excellent.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So as you were starting, I'm thinking to myself, what are you going to say his son's cocky, right? Because that's the downside with confidence.
That is.
But you expressed it as in, if there's no data to back it up, right? You didn't say cocky because you're a kid. You're not going to say that. But that's the key, right?
100%.
You can have it, but you also have to back it up.
There has to be some data. But here's the thing. The confidence allows you to take the risk. You're going to fail. Everyone does that. The thing is, how do you overcome that? And it's your confidence. Your confidence will allow you to say, yep, this actually did work, so I should do it again. And then you learn to work, put the trust in, and then you'll see the results will definitely happen for you.
And I love what you said about the 3 things. So that is where you came from. And I can tell you, I'm a master resiliency trainer in the Army, and University of Pennsylvania did a study that the Army uses as part of the resiliency training. And one of our skills that we teach soldiers is hunt the good stuff. Every day it's 3 things. What are 3 things that happened? What did you do? How did it make you feel? And how do you get more of it tomorrow? And that's exactly what you're talking about. Because sometimes we have bad days.
You're going to have them.
Right? But hunt the good stuff. There's got to be 3 things a day. Even if you just go to your default, you know what? I'm married, I got happy, healthy children, and I'm still in business. As we know, 2020 was a struggle for a lot of people, and I kept telling people, I'm still in business. I'm still in the fight. And other business owners are still in the fight. Do you bring the same mindset to your team at Spearity, or what does that look like?
It's a part of our process of spearing. So Spearity, like spearing is a thing. It's you start with a SMART goal, you have a plan, you execute the plan, analyze, realign. So that's what we do. We document 3 successes every day. That's just part of who we are. So therefore, we have a team that's fully confident. They take risks. When they mess up, we're like, hey, you're gonna mess up.
Yep.
How do we fix it? And so it's sort of part of our ethos to be resilient and bring those things in. And you'll just find those 3s, that number 3 is really significant. And like I said, it's a small enough number, so you can get it done. And there's a frequency illusion. Once you see the positives, you see them all the time. Just like if you ignore them, you'll ignore them all the time. So you just want to teach people. Some people haven't learned how to be confident and see the positive. You can teach people how to do that.
And that's good, because I think the left and right limits are, there's negative confirmation and then also positive confirmation. Sometimes when you focus on only the negatives, that's what you see. And sometimes when you only find the stuff that you're great at, you miss some stuff. But if you're thinking overall success and also being optimistic about, okay, what does success look like? And you back it with data. Anybody can just say, oh, these are great 3 things. Well, it's like, no, you gotta also back it up, especially in business. You know, there's a lot of people that focus on data and you look at your numbers, but it's, you know, A, you gotta make sure you have good data, and then B, what are the behaviors that are leading to those successes within the data?
100%. See, that behavior piece, that's the process confidence.
Yep.
It's those things you're doing on a regular basis that get to the results that you want. We make sure we focus on those things, because really, in the end, it's all behavior. This is all about making sure you're doing the right things to achieve the right results.
And how people feel about themselves, how they feel about their successes, that's a data point. I think a lot of times we focus on the P&L, the balance sheet, or the KPIs, or all these numbers that fit in an Excel file. I'm guilty of it myself. But especially when we're talking about people and behavior, how they feel about themselves, how they feel about the work that they do, that's important data to consider.
100%. And data is a data point. It's only one piece. The people are more important. Like the value when it's all said and done, when we're sitting there and we're either grandparents or we're on our deathbed, we're not going to be thinking about the data points. It's going to really be about, well, how much of an impact did you have? Who's around the table? And my thing is this: how much confidence did they have to change the world? Because I really want my children to have that type of impact, and to do that, you got to be confident.
So, and I think that's a great place to end, right? If you want to have a legacy, it's not about what you do; it's how you make others feel. And if you can teach them tactical skills, 3 things a day to focus on, and you can reinforce that, you create this ecosystem of confidence in your family, your friends, your coworkers, and all the people you touch every day.
100%.
There you go. That's your challenge. 3 things every day. And for you leaders out there, your challenge is simple. I'm going to take this challenge. 3 things that everybody in your team is doing. Because it's not about what you can tell them or give them, it's what they can intrinsically bring within themselves.
100%. All right,
Darren,
thank you, sir.
Pleasure.
All right.
I don't know if maybe he has to charge me for this lesson, because I'm taking these lessons and I'm gonna go build a successful team based off these lessons.
That's awesome, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, you're welcome.
A big thanks to Darren Fisher for taking the stage here on set at Serendipity Labs. Now, are you or someone you know ready to take this stage? Help us feature the best speakers around by heading to YoungGunsMovement.com. Apply to be a speaker, and you too could appear on an upcoming show. As always, YG Stage is brought to you by our amazing sponsors, Fleet Farm, Health Payment Systems, and Circle Electric. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow the podcast, and find everything Young Guns at YoungGunsMovement.com. I'm Andy Weins, your host of YG Stage. Thanks for tuning in.